Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago I did a video where I basically asked you guys for your unpopular opinions on Taylor Swift's music, and I chose a couple of them and I read them and kind of reacted and gave my opinion on them, and a lot of people actually really enjoyed that video, so I decided to do a part 2. So that's what we're doing today. If by some chance you're watching this and you aren't already subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you did so. So without any further ado, let's get on to the video. Our first one says, liking Evermore used to be unpopular, but I feel like it's the popular opinion now, at least among the fandom, and I disagree. It's not underrated anymore, and I think it's just okay. I prefer Folklore. So, you guys know I am an Evermore girly through and through. Evermore is my album. I love her. She's mine. She's my favorite. I personally do not think that Folklore is better than Evermore. However, I can see why someone might have that as their opinion. I feel like Evermore is a very specific category. I want to make a whole video on why I love Evermore and just dissecting everything and kind of explaining everything that I love about it. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here, but it's very much Folklore's like evil twin almost. Like, I like to imagine it like, you know, in the anti-hero video, how we have, well, my baby sister calls them good Tay and bad Tay, but basically I feel like Folklore is good Tay and Evermore is bad Tay. I don't know, it just feels darker. Like, it's not as lighthearted and like storytelling. It feels like more of her like reflecting on her past and everything. I don't know, that's just how I've always thought of it. I haven't seen Evermore being overrated right now, but I'm kind of scared that it's going to turn into what I like to refer to as the all too well effect, where basically it's like this little like hidden thing that like only true Swifties appreciate or whatever, and then it's gonna like explode and everyone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, Evermore, I love her, but like, you don't actually love Evermore, you're just saying you love Evermore because you want to join the club. Like, I'm not here to gatekeep, I'm not saying, oh, Evermore is mine, nobody can have it. But at the same time, I don't want my favorite album to be the same as everyone else's favorite album, you know? The next one says, Shake It Off is actually a bop, like the lyrics aren't deep or anything, but the beat and the instruments are so catchy. And I personally do agree. I have to be in a very specific mood to enjoy Shake It Off. It's been so popular for so long that I wouldn't choose to go and listen to it, but I do really enjoy the message of it, but just not my favorite song. Next up says 1989 is her worst album. So I find it hard to rank her albums and songs and anything because I always hate putting stuff at the bottom. To me, none of her stuff is like bad. Like, there's not any song or any album that I legitimately dislike. I love all of them. It's just a matter of the ones that I love more than other ones, you know? So 1989, I will say it is not at the top of my ranking. I don't know if it's at the bottom, but it's definitely not at the top. I do enjoy it. There's a lot of songs that are kind of overplayed. You have to be in a very like pop, like dance party mood. But there are also some really good tracks on there. You guys know I love You Are in Love. I talk about that song way too much, but I love it so much. It literally, every time I listen to it, the bridge gives me shivers, like legitimate goosebumps. I personally do not think 1989 is her worst album. I also don't think it's her best album, so I can definitely see why some people might not like it. Going right along with that, this one says 1989 is one of my least favorite eras. So I agree. The reason for this is kind of a heavy topic, so I'm not going to really dive into it that much. But if you've watched Miss Americana, her documentary on Netflix, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, that point was not a good point for her at all. Just kind of when she was like most in the public eye for the first time, I guess. Because her other albums had gotten popular, but they weren't as popular as 1989. 1989 was kind of her first album that kind of made her like Taylor Swift, like this huge pop star that everybody knows. And so I can see why people think it's like her most iconic era, because a lot of times when you think of Taylor Swift, especially if you're not a huge Swiftie, you think of that time just because that's when her music was the most popular. Like Shake It Off, Blank Space, like they were all over the place. But just knowing what she was going through at that point and knowing the headspace she was in, knowing how she was physically, mentally, just not a good time for anybody. And I feel like it is kind of disrespectful to her just to say that that was her best era, because it's almost like saying that we liked when she was sick and we liked when she was hurting, and we did not like that at all. We love where she is right now. We love that she's happy. So I am not the biggest fan of 1989 as an era. Next one says she doesn't need to use the F word in any of her songs. I don't really think it's an issue per se, but I can definitely see why some people might not like that she does that. I feel like it always is when the circumstance calls for it. She's not one of those people that just sprinkles them in like to seem cool or whatever. She definitely has a purpose, and a lot of people talk about not liking how she has the F word in Snow on the Beach. I personally like it because I feel like it just, you're in this like mystical, like whimsical, like snow on the beach moment, and then she says that and it almost like jolts you out of the song, and it like makes you stop and like think for a second. And I don't know, I personally like it, but I know that's very subjective of an opinion. A lot of people have different opinions, and that's fine. If you want to listen to clean versions, go right ahead. I don't care. You can listen to whichever version you want. But I personally don't mind the fact that she curses in her songs. Next one says, I don't really like Dear Reader. So I can see where you're coming from. It's not super catchy, so I can see why it maybe might not stand out to you as something that you love. I personally love it because I feel like it's like almost like a letter from her to us saying like, thank you guys for being here for me, but I don't deserve you, which obviously isn't true. She deserves all the love and support, but I feel like it's a very personal song for her to have written and included on the album, because especially when she says never take advice from someone who's falling apart, we know obviously she's talking about herself. She's saying don't take her advice because she's falling apart. She doesn't know what the correct thing is. And I think that's just really vulnerable of her to put out there for literally the entire world to hear. And it's kind of similar to Antihero in that respect, how she's just very vulnerable and very open with it. So I can definitely see why you might not like it, especially if you're more of a fan of like fast-paced, like feel-good type stuff, because it's definitely more of a sad girl song, especially once you actually listen to the lyrics. But I don't know, I like it. Next up is The One is a great song and deserves more attention. I do agree. I think it is a super fun song, and it's a sad song, but it's like fun in a way. It kind of reminds me of I Forgot That You Existed. It's like, okay, like he wasn't the one, like I thought he was gonna be the one, but like it's okay, I'm over it now. So I don't know. I think it's honestly a really good song, very good songwriting. Yeah. Our last one for today is Lover is Taylor's worst album. So, I disagree completely. I don't know what her worst album is, but I definitely don't think it's Lover. I personally love it because when she wrote those songs, she was in a really good headspace. Just knowing that she was happy and she was doing well at that time, it just makes me feel happy to know that she wrote all these happy songs while she was actually happy, because I love her and I want her to be happy and I want her to enjoy herself. Single-wise, I know a lot of people don't love the songs that she chose to be singles, but I think they definitely did their job. I mean, if you think Lover's her worst album, personally, I don't think any of her albums are bad, so calling one her worst album doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's not as good as the other ones, it's less good than the other ones. I think there's a lot of good songs on Lover that people don't really talk about. It's Nice to Have a Friend, for one. I love that song so much, it's just so cute, but yeah, just my opinion. Alright, that is it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I kind of went off on a tangent on a lot of those, so I have a lot of editing to do now because I'm gonna have to cut a lot of stuff out. But I will see you guys next time. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a thumbs up so that it can get recommended to other people. Comment down below what you thought of some of these opinions. And if you have more unpopular opinions, feel free to comment them down below. Let me know if you want a part 3, and feel free to subscribe if you aren't already. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!